Hey there guys, I bet you didn't think you were going to see me wearing this thing again. But yeah, a couple of big bits of news about Gravity Falls in the last couple of weeks. First of all, the unaired pilot for Gravity Falls, basically, which was, I guess, just the sort of first draft of Tourist Trap, has been released online. I'll put a link in the description. It's only about 12 minutes, and it's a different animation style, but it's the same basic plot as Tourist Trap, just perhaps a more sort of condensed version of it. And, it's kind of entertaining, actually. It's kind of interesting, the kind of things that, stayed in the final version of the first episode, and the kinds of things that were changed, and also the kinds of things that aren't in there, you notice. I get the impression just from watching it that Alex Hirsch didn't really have this idea of exactly where he was going to go with the series, but he had a kind of idea of the kind of show it was going to be. For example, that thing at the very end of the first episode where you see Stan going into the vending machine, that's not in the original pilot. And also the journal isn't explained at all. Dipper just sort of has it. So yeah, it's really interesting to watch. Don't really like the animation style, I've got to say. I'm glad he changed that. But the main thing I want to talk about today is this thing. Journal number 3 as the sort of official, sort of real version of it. I got to say, this is got to be a godsend, for cosplayers out there, because, well, actually, if you're a cosplayer, probably what you want to do is you want to take this cover off so it actually looks like it does in the show. I'll show you the inside of that as well. Just for a quick check there, some blueprints of the portal. Now that's pretty cool, but now actually it does look like it does in the show. I never sort of realised it was quite this big actually in the show. I guess it's because Dipper's so small. I guess Dipper's sort of the size of a child. I kind of imagined it would look a bit smaller in the hands of an adult like I am. Very sort of authentic looking thing that it has. You've got actual pages that are seen in the show like that, looking exactly like how they look in the show. I think that's really cool. And then you also have things like that, blue writing, which is obviously written by Dipper, whereas the black writing, which shakes up the majority of the journal, is obviously Ford. The big thing about this that is really kind of exciting is you have lots of stuff that is not seen in the show. You've got pages like that. Really kind of interesting read, really. A lot of really sort of funny stuff. You've got sort of a first half of it. I feel like I'm being distracted by sort of reading this myself. I kind of want to show you guys this. First half of it you got sort of basically just, before the events of the show, all the stuff that he was writing, planning, exploring everything. Then you got blank pages. Now I kind of thought for a moment if maybe this was some sort of invisible ink, because invisible ink is actually a real thing, like is seen in the second season of the show perhaps. Maybe those pages have invisible ink on them, but I wouldn't know how to reveal it. There are a lot of codes, for a start, in this journal, which I don't know how to decipher. Somebody's probably already done it online. There's probably like a site somewhere that has told you what all of the codes in this journal mean or something. Let's see if I can find one for you just to show you. There, you've got sort of codes like that, sort of all the way through the journal. Who knows? Maybe they say important things. They reveal special things about the show. Like, I don't know, who Dipper and Mabel's parents are, or who their grandparents are. Maybe it reveals things like that. But I've only had it for about 3 days as of yet, and there's a lot of stuff to get through. You look at how much writing is on, just one set of pages. There's a lot of stuff to get through on here. You get to about halfway through, and suddenly Dipper has started writing in the journal. I think that's really cool, because of course you do see him writing in the journal in the actual show. I don't know. Are we supposed to believe, Dipper is quite a talented illustrator as well? Has he drawn that, perhaps? Oh, actually, really kind of interesting thing. Gives his name as M, and then crosses that out, and then says Dipper Pine. So does his actual first name start with M, perhaps? Once Dipper starts writing, he basically just takes you over the events in the actual show, and then, when things get a bit more colourful, that's obviously Mabel writing in there. Oh, this is pretty kind of a funny thing. This is the side view of Rumble McSkirmish. We never saw that in the episode. That's really kind of clever, I thought. And then apparently Mabel wrote in it while she was in Dipper's body as well. Yeah, I guess Mabel has access to colouring pencils or something, and Dipper just doesn't, or something. But yeah, obviously, the writing has to be colour-coded so you can tell who's writing what. And I quite like this about the Infinite Pizza. I think this is one of my favourite pages that I've found so far. It's actually got a grease stain on here. And apparently it says that it only regenerates itself when Zeus eats it. It kind of makes me wonder, if somebody else were to eat the whole pizza except for like one mouthful, and then Zeus were to eat the last mouthful, does that mean the whole thing regenerates, or is it just the bit that Zeus eats? I don't know. Anyone can take a bite, but it will only regenerate after Zeus has eaten it. This is why it can't solve world hunger. Only Zeus's mouth has the magic. Did I really just write that? Zeus can ask for different toppings and the pizza will obey. I don't know how the pizza understands him with his mouth full. It's the kind of thing I like about, obviously it's written by Alex Hirsch, right? I'm guessing it was written by Alex Hirsch, so obviously it has the same kind of style of humour that the show had. So, yeah, basically it is just like experiencing the show all over again. It's just a joy to read everything. Then you got some more blank pages about 2/3 of the way through, and then Ford comes back after coming out of the portal, and this is probably the biggest thing that this journal has that is really exciting to read through. It's what he did while he was in the other dimension for 30 years, which I was always kind of hoping the show was going to cover, but I guess they just didn't have time, or they just didn't think it would be in the spirit of the show, or it wasn't important to the story or whatever. Because you always got the feeling like Alex Hirsch was adamant about only showing or seeing stuff that was relevant to the story of the show. So he explores first of all the Nightmare Realm, which I guess is where Bill is from. And then he goes on a sort of refuge, and he becomes a bit of a fugitive in these various different dimensions. Goes to places like the M dimension, where everybody looks like that. The Do-Over dimension, where basically there are time skips all the time. And this is quite good, the 2D dimension. Two-dimensional dimension, that's a bit of a tongue twister. And there's Ford as a 3D person in the 2D dimension. And then I guess basically it always kind of bugged me why Ford was still mad at Stan when he was released from the portal. He says in the show, it's because of what he did 30 years ago. Like, really? Still mad at him for something he did 30 years ago? From what I read in here, it seems like he's also kind of mad that he pulled him out of the dimension just as he was about to defeat Bill, or when he thought he was about to defeat Bill, so maybe he was kind of bitter about that. And then after that, we have a bit more from Mabel. Actually, I just realised I don't think I've really read this bit that much as of yet. Yeah, there's just so much to get through in this thing. The worst has happened. Bill has been let loose in our world. This is something he wrote during Weirdmageddon, I guess. I'm not sure if Stan wrote in this at all. It's obvious that Dipper, Mabel, and Ford all wrote in it. I'm not sure if I can see anything written by Stan as of yet. And then more blank pages. I guess that's just supposed to indicate that somebody else has taken over. Or something. I don't know, maybe there are secrets hidden in these pages or something. Because then, of course, Dipper gets back into writing it. I've got to say, Dipper's writing is a lot easier to read than Ford's, which is weird, because, you'd think a child's writing would be more messy. And then again, I guess that's when the government got hold of it. Put that in there at the end. This is going to take me a long time to get through this thing. It's an absolutely fantastic read, and I'm really glad that I shelled out a decent amount of money for it. Really worth getting. Highest recommendations, guys. But yeah, that's that. That's just a few sort of brief thoughts on Journal number 3, and I will see you again, possibly for something else Gravity Falls related at some point. I might make a full video about the unaired pilot at some point if I find that I have enough to say. But anyway, that's that for now, guys. See ya. Is this thing... Hold it the right way up, John. Concentrate on what you're doing.